I'd like to get into Woody's world, and today's commentary is breaking news from this morning. And I don't know whether you saw the memo that has been sent out by the NFL office and Commissioner Paul Goodell to all the owners, but obviously it has been released, and I studied it carefully, and I believe, and I'm going to make a statement here, this memo and the action the NFL is taking in regard to domestic abuse and all kinds of serious crimes of violence is saving Roger Goodell's job.
Really?
In the memo, it says that they are taking steps to be stronger than any corporation in America in regard to domestic abuse, crimes of violence. That if you are a player and you are charged with a crime of violence, you are suspended immediately with your pay until the case is settled, either by being dropped or that you are found guilty. So a player could be suspended with pay for probably up to a year while waiting for the court case. Even though in America you're guaranteed a speedy trial, we see that almost never happens because both sides delay the trials. That was the essence of the memo today. There are a lot of other areas. Roger Goodell is no longer going to be meting out the punishment. That is going to be, they have hired from the Arizona Cardinals a former prosecutor who will indeed start to be the one who hears the original case. Roger Goodell will still be involved in the appeal process with others. They are taking a number of steps, and I invite everybody to look at exactly what the NFL is doing, because even though it doesn't say what happens at the end, that if a player is found guilty of domestic abuse or an act of violence against another person at a bar or something, they have not, and that's the one area they've got to settle. And the other issue that still hasn't been settled is the Wall Street Journal story today said, and that was before the memo, that Robert Kraft said he went to Roger Goodell and said point blank to him, "Did you see the tape of the Ray Rice?" And he said, Roger Goodell looked me in the eyes and said no. Somehow that tape was in the NFL office and was watched by somebody, or somebody had it.
But never got to his office.
Never got, I believe, to Roger Goodell. But we have not heard from the independent investigation in regard to that. So I think everybody should take a moment to look. I believe, to repeat, that Roger Goodell, who promised they would have new guidelines and new procedures in place by the Super Bowl, he has acted in the proper and right way, and the NFL has taken steps to make themselves the strongest, particularly in sports, and the strongest maybe in the corporate world, of how they're going to deal with crimes of violence.
All right, you know, you could very well be right, and I tend to agree with you. There are three things that pop into my mind. Number one, he's not going to wait for the legal system to run its course. The NFL is going to be proactive in how they punish these guys now. I kind of like that. I do kind of like that, because the legal system can take forever. And I understand the whole innocent until proven guilty thing, but the NFL has to protect itself and its image. I get that. Number two, used to be that Roger Goodell was the judge, jury, and executioner. He no longer is that. He took a lot of criticism for that. He no longer is that. He's spreading it around. That's a good thing. That, more than anything, might help him save his job. And number three, doesn't the union have to approve this new conduct policy?
That's the one aspect of it. The policy goes into effect immediately for non-playing personnel. So let's take Matt Russell, who had
Broncos
serious
executive,
problems last year and ran into police cars and was heavily sedated or drugged or drunk, and he was drunk. He would be suspended until his trial came, or until a decision was made. In his case, it took about 5 or 6 months before that was settled. So if you are a Matt Russell or secretary in an office and you arrested now, and I'm not saying Matt Russell was involved in a violent crime, depending on whether you think driving in a police car is a violent crime, because a police officer was hurt in that, they can be suspended immediately with pay. They have to get the agreement of the NFL Players Association, and that's being discussed as we speak, and the NFL Players Association thinks that, here's what the Players Association thinks, that the players should have the right to at least have a discussion about taking leave with pay.
Yeah.
And so there's probably going to be a little bit of discussion, and maybe it won't go through. But what I'm saying is Roger Goodell saved his job with this, and the NFL took strong steps. If the NFL Players Association stands in their way, they're the ones who are now going to get the grief, not Roger Goodell and not the NFL owners. The owners are mostly concerned, when you come down to it, one or two things. They're concerned about winning championships, some of them. And number two, that TV money. That's their, and so they don't want anything that screws with that. And what's happened in the NFL has screwed with that.
Okay, so according to Woodrow Page, Roger Goodell saved his own ass today. Okay.